What's up, everybody? I'm David.
And I'm Manny, and on this episode we reveal a highly anticipated brand new project.
The Lilly White Crested Geckos. Alright guys, we're on our way to pick up a very special box from the UK. This is gonna change Crested Geckos.
This is gonna change your bum life.
This is gonna change your bum life. This is gonna change Crested Gecko morphs for a very long time. Stay tuned. I don't have to say much. Just show. This is where I carry my handy dandy knife.
Murder weapon.
Yeah, right? Very excited.
At least those knives you ordered came in handy.
Right. Oh man. Woo! Let's see. Let's hope everything arrived fine. Oh man.
Is that New Caledonian sphagnum moss?
Wow.
Oh my god.
This has to be...
I can't see it through the camera, but dude.
Holy crap. Holy shit, dude.
Oh, do that again? Do that again?
What? This is one of the Lilly Whites. It's a brand new morph. It's a co-dominant mutation that basically adds a whole bunch of white to the geckos. Here's the other one. Wow.
I just see toes and a finger.
Oh, sorry. Guys, I am beyond excited. I am very happy. These guys arrived fine, perfectly. And they're absolutely stunning. Holy shit, man. Here. Now, you wait until we get home, we unpack these, and you can get a better look. So, stay tuned.
So, David, when did you first see these Lilly White Crested Geckos? And what, like, really made you want to, like, have to have them?
Well, I mean, honestly, when I first saw these animals, it was a long time ago. They weren't even called Lilly Whites at the time. I think he was just calling them white pinstripes. But I remember coming across them, basically just browsing through the internet, maybe Facebook or the forums or something, I don't really remember. But I did see this crazy white colored pinstripe. You know, it had just crazy amounts of white and on the dorsal and on the sides. And I just thought to myself, like anyone that loves Crested Geckos, I thought to myself, I gotta have one of these.
Especially you loving the white and the cream on the Crested Geckos.
Yeah, exactly. That's one of my favorite things on these geckos. But so initially I'm like, I gotta have one of these. So I went try to find the source, right? Turns out these geckos were actually produced by a guy named Lumb in the UK out of Lilly Exotics. And yeah, I mean, I saw these things, I could not believe my eyes. I think at the time there was the white and the cream and the crested geckos wasn't as, you know, popular, or it wasn't found as easy as it is now. So I messaged Nick, you know, I'm asking him how can I get my hands on one of these. Unfortunately, at the time he wasn't releasing any of them, so I had to wait my turn. Fast forward a couple years, and now I got them in my hands. So originally, Nick, he happened to hatch out like a crazy white or cream like gecko that came out of a group of random crested gecko breeding that he did. Usually some genetic mutations like this will pop out in the reptile world, you know, and they can pop out of nowhere. So I'm sure as soon as he saw that, he knew this was something way different than anything that he had ever seen from that group before, and he held it back. He held that back. To his luck, it turned out to be a male. And why is that a good thing? Because you could grab a male and you could breed it to as many females as you want, basically, instead of a female that you could only breed to one male. So he got that male, he bred it to a couple females, and to his, you know, fortune, to his good luck, the first baby that hatched was actually a replica of that first male, of that Lilly White male that he originally hatched. So he knew right then and there that it was a genetic trait. Now, the second and the third geckos that he hatched were not, you know, they didn't carry that crazy white cream, or that, you know, they didn't resemble the father very much. And then the fourth gecko that hatched out of that male was another replica of the father. So he knew right then and there, okay, this is a genetic trait, I could reproduce this. So he takes, you know, he obviously, you grow up those animals, you start experimenting with them. Now he, after, you know, various amounts of breeding, he finds out that this is working like a co-dominant mutation. Basically, if you pair up one Lilly White to a buckskin crested gecko to a normal crested gecko, you're gonna get half of those geckos are gonna look like a Lilly White, basically with that crazy amount of white and cream, and then the other half are gonna look like normal harlequins. Now, if you put two Lilly Whites together, what Nick found out was that unfortunately they produce non-viable offspring. The offspring don't make it. They do, however, are all white, so they kind of resemble a leucistic. Whether it's a leucistic or not, I'm not sure. I'm not sure if Nick is, you know, if he's 100% sure it's a leucistic or what, but they definitely resemble a leucistic because it's an all-white gecko. Unfortunately, none have made it so far, so he cut out from breeding those, from breeding Lilly White to Lilly White. I think later down the line, when we start diversifying the bloodline a little bit and maybe getting in some, like, you know, F1s, then we could start to play with that a little bit more and maybe create some leucistic crested geckos. But at the time, it's best for the geckos, for the species obviously, and the morph to seize on that Lilly White to Lilly White breeding.
So what makes this Lilly White Crested Gecko different from, let's say, a high white polygenic crested gecko? Because we've seen there are a lot of high white crested geckos out there. So what is the difference between the two?
Right. Well, first of all, like, you've seen them in person, it's very distinguishable. The white from a polygenically bred white crested gecko, and then from a Lilly White, it's different. If you know what you're looking at, you know, for us that we've seen hundreds and hundreds, even thousands of crested geckos, we know we could tell the difference. But to break it down a little bit more, basically, like I was saying earlier, if you pair up a Lilly White to a normal buckskin crested gecko, half the offspring are going to come out with that same amount of crazy white coloring and cream. You know, that same quality and same amount. If you breed a polygenically bred white crested gecko to a buckskin crested gecko, for the most part, you're going to get, like a yellowish type. It's going to be like muddied up. It's going to be in between. It's never going to be as nice as the parents, or as that one white parent. So it just speeds up the process in trying to create, high white animals, because you don't need to keep refining and refining and refining. It's not so much about selectively breeding, even though it might also work as a, as a polygenic and a co-dominant mutation, which I believe it does. But it's not so much about refinement anymore, and it's more like it's more accessible to people who don't have, the money to spend on the crazy, the crazy polygenically bred white crested geckos, because eventually the price is going to come down and it's going to be accessible to everybody. So it's very, very exciting.
And like David was saying, we've seen tons of crested geckos here. So when we saw these guys for the first time, it was very different. It was almost like a thicker, more vibrant kind of white, and compared to even some of the highest end high white crested geckos, it almost makes it look a little pale in comparison. So that's something that definitely blew me, and I know David, away when we first, even before we even opened the box. They were in the containers, we're like, whoa, what is this?
Yeah. Yeah, and the cream on the white and the cream, it's like thick, it's hard to explain, but I hopefully you guys could kind of distinguish it in the video. It's a thick kind of like, especially on the sides, it makes it thicker for some reason. Now another trait that's very similar but not as white is what Anthony AC Reptiles is calling whiteout, or what Pangea calls white wall. Whatever term you use doesn't really matter. I think it's the same trait, but that's another thing. It gives it like a little thickness to it, but the difference between those two is that first of all, it doesn't bring in as much white on the dorsal or the whole body, and second of all, the Lilly Whites are whiter than those traits. And I work with both of them, and I love both of them. I'm not trying to. It's not a knockoff on the other one. I'm just stating the obvious. All right, so now I'm gonna ask you, what are you mostly looking for to breeding these guys with?
Well, actually, I want to breed this thing to everything, first of all. But what I'm really interested in seeing, my favorite color is red. So I would love to see that Lilly White with red crested gecko in it, Like that contrast to me is going to blow me away. But we're definitely going to throw with a little bit of everything, tiramisu line, omega line. Oh, yeah. Just have some fun, play with this, see what this gene actually does with all these different other traits.
Yeah, and depending on what you pair a Lilly White to, like, it has an effect on the offspring that are going to come out. Like, Nick was pairing the Lilly Whites to yellow Dalmatians, and then you see like these crazy, almost creamsicle looking like animals pop out. That that's just mind-boggling to me, that could pop out of a a Dalmatian with just a Lilly White. But yeah, I mean it's very exciting what we're gonna be able to do with these geckos and see what we can produce.
Yeah, some of the things that Nick was showing, the offspring, like he was saying, the yellow Dalmatian with the Lilly White, we could kind of have an expectation of what to expect when breeding crested geckos, but what seems with some of the Lilly Whites, to what you pair it to, it absolutely doesn't look anything like the parents almost. It's like almost a completely different animal.
Yeah.
And it's something that's very, very exciting, and we're getting really excited and can't wait to start breeding and hatching these guys out.
Yeah,
and then spreading the love to you guys.
Yeah, of course. I think right now there is no limit on this because only one breeder was working with this. So now that he's actually starting to spread them out across the world, there's some in Asia, there's some, in all over Europe, and I think we are the first people to actually get them in the States. So the first Lilly Whites to ever come into the country were for us. But anyways, yeah, I mean, now that a lot of different people are going to be working with them, who knows what's going to pop out? Who knows how far we could take this morph, And I truly believe this is going to change the crested gecko, hobby pretty much.
And since this seems to be a co-dominant trait, it should speed up the process a lot, to getting these really refined animals, these like with the red and hopefully the whites or black and whites, and with a little bit of everything.
That's gonna wrap it up for this video. I hope you guys are excited as we are about this new project, this brand new crested gecko morph. I could barely hold my excitement in, but you know, follow us, you know,
you're welcome to share in the excitement with us by following us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Snapchat. Make sure you follow our journey. And with these brand new morph crested geckos, man, it's gonna exciting times are ahead.
Oh, for sure. If you want to see more pictures or you know more information on these geckos, you can head over to our Facebook page or Instagram, like Manny said, and also check out Nick's page at lilyexotics.com.
.co.uk. We saw none of those little whites ever. Okay.